What, what if I told you that the world's biggest superhero was once its biggest mess? A man who hit rock bottom so hard, the world gave up on him, except he didn't. This is not just a comeback story. This is the resurrection of Robert Downey Jr., from jail cells to red carpets, from addiction to admiration. From that guy's career is over to he just saved the Marvel Universe. He didn't just act in movies. He became the story we all needed to believe in. Robert Downey Jr. was born on April 4th, 1965, in Manhattan, New York. But unlike most Hollywood stars, his story didn't begin with dreams of fame. It began inside a cloud of smoke and chaos. His father, Robert Downey Sr., was an underground filmmaker, rebellious, creative, and tragically addicted to drugs. And from a young age, Robert Jr. was pulled into that world, long before he understood what it meant. At the age of just 6, Robert Jr. smoked marijuana, given to him by his own father. This wasn't a home, it was a time bomb, a beautiful mind, raised in madness. By the age of 10, Robert was already acting in films made by his father. By 17, he dropped out of school and moved to Los Angeles chasing a dream. Or maybe, just running from a nightmare. The 80s and early 90s brought him fame. But with every hit film came another line of cocaine. With every standing ovation came a louder silence inside. By 1996, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't known for his acting anymore. He was known for his arrests. Imagine waking up in someone else's house, not knowing how you got there, holding a gun, while high on heroin. Robert didn't have to imagine it. That actually happened. And yet, the world still hadn't seen the full fall, because his lowest point was still to come. By the late 90s, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't just spiraling, he was crashing. He was arrested over and over again for heroin, for cocaine, for trespassing. But the world kept watching, because behind that broken shell was still one of the most talented actors Hollywood had ever seen. In 1999, a judge sentenced him to 3 years in a California state prison. And for the first time in his life, the cameras stopped rolling, the doors shut, and Robert was truly alone. That prison cell became his mirror. No lights, no applause, no drugs. Just Robert and the man he had become. He later said, "You can't take drugs for 20 years and then expect to come out a genius." And still, no one believed he could return. Directors had blacklisted him. Studios wouldn't insure him. He was labeled too risky, too broken, too far gone. And for a while, Robert believed it too. But rock bottom, that place most people fear, is also the only place where you can start building again. And from inside that darkness, he decided to fight, not just for his career, but for his soul. When Robert Downey Jr. walked out of prison, he didn't return to Hollywood with fame or fanfare. He returned with doubt, pain, and a clean slate. But here's where everything changes. Hollywood didn't welcome him back with open arms. No red carpets, no starring roles, no second chances. But Robert was done waiting for chances. He wanted to earn them. His first break? A $100 a day gig on the TV show Ally McBeal. Yes, $100. From million-dollar contracts to pocket change. He didn't complain. He performed and won a Golden Globe for it. But his demons weren't done yet. In 2001, he was arrested again. And this time, the industry said, enough. Robert disappeared. No news, no films, just silence. But behind the scenes, he was rebuilding. Mind, body, spirit. And just when it seemed like his career was over, came a call from one man, Jon Favreau. Favreau, the director of a new Marvel project, saw something in Robert no one else did. He wanted RDJ for a risky role, a billionaire genius with demons, a man who rebuilds himself in a cave. Sound familiar? Ironman. Studios said no. They said he was uninsurable. They said he'd ruin the film. Favreau fought for him. Robert became Tony Stark, not by pretending, but by being honest. And when Iron Man hit theaters in 2008, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't just back. He was a global superstar. The Marvel Cinematic Universe began with a man no one believed in. When Iron Man exploded at the box office, grossing over $585 million, no one was more surprised than Hollywood itself. Robert wasn't just acting. He was living Tony Stark. The swagger, the wit, the broken brilliance. It was all him. Raw, unfiltered. Marvel gambled on a washed-up actor, and in return, they got the face of an empire. Robert signed on for multiple Marvel films. Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Civil War, Infinity War, and of course, Endgame.
And I am Iron Man.
Every film he touched turned to gold. Each performance richer, deeper, more human. But this wasn't just acting anymore. Robert shaped the MCU. He had a say in scripts, character arcs, and even casting. He became a billion-dollar actor. But his real legacy? He brought heart to superheroes. Behind the scenes, Robert was thriving too. He married Susan Downey, the woman who helped him stay clean, focused, and grounded. Together, they started a production company, Team Downey, and Robert began producing films, backing projects, and even giving other struggling actors a shot. He was no longer just Iron Man, he was Robert Downey Jr., a mentor, a father, a husband, a legend. He earned $75 million for Endgame alone. That's not just stardom, that's history. And when Tony Stark said his final words, "I am Iron Man," the world didn't just applaud the character, it saluted the man behind the mask. From prison bars to red carpets, from forgotten to unforgettable. Robert Downey Jr. didn't just play a hero, he became one. When the Iron Man suit came off, who was Robert Downey Jr. really? He wasn't the tech genius or billionaire in real life, but he was a man who rebuilt himself, piece by piece. Off camera, Robert is surprisingly low-key, no wild parties, no media chaos. Just a quiet life with Susan and his kids in Malibu. He's obsessed with meditation, martial arts, and even beekeeping. Yes, beekeeping. In interviews, he often jokes, but listen closely, and you'll hear wisdom born from pain. Listen, I used to be a guy you'd cross the street to avoid. Now I'm someone you'd let babysit your dog. He's fully aware of how far he's come and how easily it could have gone the other way. Today, Robert supports mental health causes, addiction recovery programs, and even funds climate tech innovations. He started the Footprint Coalition, using his fame to fight for the planet. And though he hung up the Iron Man suit, he never stopped evolving. He took on roles like Dr. Dolittle and now stars in Oppenheimer, a film that's already calling him a contender for another Oscar. But ask Robert what matters most. He won't say awards. He won't say fame. He'll say, my family, my peace, my second chance. Because at the end of the day, Robert Downey Jr. isn't just a superstar, he's a survivor. He taught the world something powerful. It's not about how far you fall, it's about how high you bounce back. There are stories that entertain. Then, there are stories that transform you. Robert Downey Jr.'s journey isn't just a Hollywood tale. It's a living proof that even the most shattered lives can rise from the ashes and build empires. He went from losing roles to losing everything. Family, reputation, freedom. But life gave him one more shot, and he didn't just take it, he turned it into a legacy. From a $500 a week actor to commanding $20 million per movie and back-end deals worth tens of millions. In Avengers, Endgame alone, he earned over $75 million. And today, his net worth sits at around $300 million. But the real wealth is the respect he earned, the hearts he touched. When kids wear an Iron Man mask, they don't just see a superhero. They see a man who was once lost and found himself again. Robert didn't just act in redemption stories. He lived one. He became the blueprint for what it means to fall and rise higher than ever. Think about it. The same man who once woke up in a stranger's house high out of his mind became the heartbeat of the biggest cinematic universe in history. He didn't just play Iron Man, he became the Man of Iron Will, a real-life Tony Stark, minus the arc reactor, but with a heart even stronger. And in the end, his greatest power wasn't in a suit, it was in saying, yes, I messed up, but I'm not done. And maybe, so are you. If you've fallen, if you've struggled, if you felt like the world gave up on you, then remember Robert, because if he could rise from rock bottom, so can you. Subscribe for more true legends, and always remember, your greatest role is still ahead.